The mysterious discovery. The planet Zenthera 9 was a dead world, silent, abandoned, and covered in endless storms of red dust. Captain Alex Carter had seen many strange places in his years as an explorer, but something about this planet felt different. His boots crunched against the rocky ground as he led his team deeper into an ancient alien structure. It was massive, buried under layers of time and forgotten history. The walls, made of a dark, metallic material, were covered in strange glowing symbols, a language long lost to the universe. "Captain, are you seeing this?" Lieutenant Harris, his second-in-command, pointed at the walls. "These markings, they look like warnings." Alex narrowed his eyes. He wasn't one to believe in superstitions, but something about the symbols made his skin crawl. What were the warnings for? The hidden chamber. The team moved cautiously through the corridors, their flashlights flickering against the dark. Suddenly, their scanners beeped. "Captain, we found something," said Dr. Lyon, the team's scientist. She gestured toward a large circular door, half buried in rubble. It was covered in ancient symbols, but one stood out, a handprint, glowing faintly. "This isn't just a door," Lyon murmured. "It's a containment chamber." Alex frowned. "Contained what?" Lyon hesitated. "I don't know, but whatever it is, it's still inside." Breaking the seal, the team exchanged uneasy glances. Should they open it? "Captain," Harris whispered, "maybe we shouldn't." But Alex had already placed his hand over the glowing symbol. The ground rumbled. The metal door groaned and slid open with a deafening hiss. Inside was a pod, tall, sleek, and glowing faintly with blue light. It looked alive. For a moment, no one moved. The air itself felt heavy, like the planet was holding its breath. Then, suddenly, the pod began to crack. "Step back," Alex ordered, drawing his weapon. The glass-like material shattered into glowing fragments, and a figure stepped forward. The warning. She was tall, almost 7 feet, with skin the color of midnight and glowing golden eyes. Her presence was powerful, commanding. Her hair, long and silver, moved as if it had a life of its own. She blinked slowly, scanning the humans before her. Then she spoke. Her voice was smooth yet chilling. "Dare touch me, and suffer the consequences." The words sent a wave of unease through the team. What does that mean?" Harris stammered. Before she could answer, one of the soldiers stepped forward, reaching out. "Wait, don't," Alex shouted. But it was too late. The soldier's fingers barely brushed her shoulder, and suddenly, he screamed. His body convulsed violently as an unseen force ripped through him. His veins darkened, his eyes rolled back, and within seconds, he collapsed. Dead. The team froze. A heavy silence filled the chamber. Alex stared at the fallen soldier, his breath caught in his throat. What just happened? The woman's golden eyes burned into his. "I warned you." "What is she?" Alex clenched his jaw. He had seen many powerful alien beings before, but never anything like this. "Who are you?" he asked carefully. She tilted her head, as if studying him. Then, after a moment, she spoke. "I am Xyra, Queen of the Zentheri." Her voice carried a weight, a hidden danger. But Alex was more concerned with another question. If she was a queen, then where was her kingdom? And why was she locked away? A cold shiver ran down his spine. They had just awakened something dangerous, something that should have remained buried. The curse of the alien queen. The chamber fell into silence, the weight of the moment pressing down on the team like a crushing force. The lifeless body of the soldier lay motionless on the cold metallic floor, his face frozen in an expression of pure agony. Captain Alex Carter took a slow, measured breath, his pulse hammering in his ears. His team had encountered many dangers before: hostile alien creatures, deadly traps, rogue, but never anything like this. This was something else, something unnatural. The woman, Queen Tyra, stood tall and unmoving, her glowing golden eyes staring at Alex as if she were waiting for his next move. She had warned them, and now a man was dead. "Step back," Alex ordered, his voice calm but firm. His remaining soldiers gripped their weapons tightly, fingers hovering over the triggers. Zyra smirked. "You think your weapons will stop me?" The confidence in her voice made the hairs on Alex's neck stand on end. He had seen arrogance before, but this wasn't arrogance. This was certainty. His instincts screamed at him to be careful. "What did you do to him?" Dr. Lyon knelt beside the fallen soldier, scanning his body with her handheld medical device. Her brow furrowed as the results flickered on the screen. This doesn't make sense," she muttered. Alex turned toward her. "What is it?" "He's not burned, not poisoned. There's no sign of physical trauma at all." She swallowed hard. It's like his life energy was drained in an instant. Alex clenched his jaw. He turned back to Zyra. "What are you?" he demanded. Her glowing eyes narrowed. "I already told you. I am Queen Zyra of the Zenthari." "That doesn't explain what just happened." Harris snapped, his weapon still raised. "How did he die?" Zyra's gaze flickered to the dead soldier, then back to Alex. "You're kind. You do not understand the forces you play with." "Then explain it to us," Alex pushed, keeping his stance firm. She exhaled, stepping forward slowly. No one dared to move. "My body is a weapon," she said, her voice softer now. "A curse placed upon me long ago. Any living being that dares to touch me will suffer a fate worse than death." Her gaze locked onto Alex. "You were warned." The legend of the Zenthari Queen. The air in the chamber grew heavy, as if the walls themselves were absorbing every word she spoke. "My people feared me," Zyra continued, her expression unreadable. "They feared my power. They called me a monster, an abomination. And so, they did the only thing they could. They locked me away, hoping that time would erase my existence." Alex studied her, searching for deception, but her eyes held nothing but truth. "They locked you away because you were dangerous," Harris said cautiously. "Because you could kill with a touch." Zyra let out a bitter laugh. "They made me dangerous." A cold chill ran through Alex. What did that mean? Zyra took another step forward, her silver hair shimmering like liquid metal. "Do you think I wanted this? Do you think I chose to be a living curse?" Alex stayed silent, waiting for her to continue. "My people, they wanted to create the perfect ruler, a queen who could never be overthrown. They experimented on me, changed me, twisted my very being into something unnatural." Her voice was calm, but there was rage simmering beneath her words. "They gave me this power, then feared what they had created. So they betrayed me. I was cast out, imprisoned in that pod, left to rot for eternity." She lifted her chin slightly. "Until you set me free. Escape is impossible." The chamber lights flickered. Alex's mind raced, processing everything she had said. "So you're telling me," he said carefully, "that you're not our enemy?" Tyra tilted her head. "That depends." "On what?" She took a slow step toward him. "On whether you try to imprison me again." Alex exchanged a quick glance with Harris and Leon. This situation had escalated far beyond what they had prepared for. They had come to this planet expecting ancient ruins, maybe lost technology. But instead, they had awakened a walking weapon. The only question was, what were they supposed to do now? Suddenly, their communication devices crackled with static. "This is Bravo Team," a panicked voice shouted over the comms. "Captain, we have a..." The signal cut out. Alex's blood ran cold. "What the hell was that?" Harris said, trying to reestablish the connection. Zyra sighed, shaking her head. "It has already begun." Alex turned sharply toward her. "What do you mean?" Zyra glanced toward the chamber's entrance. "Your people cannot leave this planet." Alex narrowed his eyes. Why not? A dark smile played on her lips. Because Xanthera 9 does not allow its prisoners to escape. Escape or death. A heavy silence filled the chamber. Captain Alex Carter felt the weight of Queen Syra's words pressing down on him like an invisible force. Your people cannot leave this planet. The sentence echoed in his mind, warning him of something far worse than they had anticipated. Outside, their team's distress signal had cut out. There was no response from Bravo Team, no sound of their ship's engines, no sign of anything beyond the endless darkness of the underground ruins. Alex knew one thing for certain. They were in danger. A sudden earthquake. Before Alex could demand an explanation from Syra, the ground beneath them shook violently. The ancient walls groaned, dust rained down from above, and strange blue energy pulses crackled through the metallic floors. Everyone, hold on to something, Alex shouted. His team barely managed to brace themselves as the tremors intensified. The walls began shifting, revealing hidden doorways leading to unknown depths. The alien technology was awakening, as if it could sense that its prisoner had been freed. What the hell is happening? Harris yelled, gripping his rifle tightly. Zyra remained unmoved, her golden eyes scanning the chamber with eerie calm. The planet has recognized me. It is testing if I am still contained. Alex clenched his fists. And if it realizes you're not? Zyra turned toward him, her lips curling into a knowing smile. Then we all die. Bravo Team's last transmission. Alex had no time to argue. He turned to Lion, who was frantically working on her scanner. Lion, can you get through to Bravo Team? Lion's hands trembled as she adjusted the device. The interference is too strong, but I picked up something before the signal was lost. She hesitated. Alex stepped closer. What did you hear? Lion swallowed. Screams. The word sent a cold chill down Alex's spine. We need to get back to the surface, he said. Now. Zyra, however, remained where she was. You will not reach your ship, she said simply. Alex exhaled sharply, his patience running thin. And why is that? Because it no longer exists. The words hit like a hammer. What? Harris snapped. That's impossible. We parked it right outside the ruins. Zyra turned her glowing gaze toward him. This planet erases those who do not belong. Your ship, your team, they are already lost. Alex refused to believe it. He had faced countless threats before, but this, an entire ship just vanishing. It made no sense. There's only one way to find out, he muttered. Move out. The race to the surface. The team sprinted through the ancient corridors, their boots echoing against the cold metal floors. The tremors had subsided, but the air felt thick, charged with an unnatural energy. Strange whispers filled the air, like the voices of ghosts. This place is wrong, Harris muttered, his grip tightening on his rifle. It's like the walls are. Alive. Alex ignored the creeping fear clawing at the back of his mind. Focus on the mission. Get to the ship. Find Bravo Team. As they neared the exit, Syra spoke again. You should prepare yourselves. Alex shot her a glare. For what? For what happens when you see the truth. They reached the final corridor, where a large metallic door led to the planet's surface. Alex slammed his palm against the scanner. The door groaned open. And then, they stepped into a nightmare. Where is the ship? The landing site was empty. The ship, the massive star cruiser that had brought them to this planet, was gone. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Gone. As if it had never existed. Alex's breath caught in his throat. He turned sharply, scanning the barren landscape, the rocky cliffs, the endless red dust, the eerie silence. Nothing had changed, except for the fact that their only way off this planet was missing. Leon gasped. This isn't possible. Harris frantically checked his communicator. Bravo Team, come in. Does anyone read me? Static. Pure, unbroken static. Alex felt his heartbeat pound in his chest. This wasn't just an attack. It wasn't sabotage. It was something else. Something beyond their understanding. And then, a shadow moved in the distance. The unknown beings. Harris saw it first. "Captain, we're not alone." Alex followed his gaze. At first, it looked like the wind shifting the dust, but then the shapes became clearer. Tall, distorted figures stood on the cliffs, watching them. Their forms were shifting, almost glitching, like something that didn't belong in this reality. No faces, no eyes, just empty shadows. And then they moved. Fast, rushing toward them like a storm. "Contact," Harris shouted, raising his weapon. "Fall back," Alex ordered. "Inside now." The team turned, sprinting back into the ruins just as the shadows lunged forward. A cold, unnatural force washed over them as the first shadow touched the doorway, and then screamed. A sound so inhuman it made Alex's bones vibrate. The shadow figure collapsed into nothingness, disintegrating the moment it touched the ancient metal walls. Zaira watched the scene unfold with calm amusement. Alex turned to her, breathing heavily. What the hell were those things? Zaira's golden eyes shimmered. The lost souls of this planet. The ones who tried to leave, and failed. Alex's stomach twisted. "You knew this would happen. I warned you." Silence. The realization settled in. They were trapped. And Zenthera 9 was never going to let them go. The truth behind the warning. The heavy doors slammed shut behind them. A thick layer of dust rained from the ceiling as the impact echoed through the ancient metal corridors. Captain Alex Carter and his team stood panting, weapons raised, their bodies tense from the chase. Outside, the shadow figures swirled like a storm, their forms shifting between reality and nothingness. They made no sound now, no screaming, no growling, just a silent, watching presence beyond the walls. But Alex knew. They were waiting for the humans to make a mistake. Nowhere to run. Harris pressed his back against the wall, still catching his breath. That was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. Dr. Lane, gripping her scanner, looked pale as a ghost. "They weren't alive," she muttered. "Not in the way we understand." Alex turned to Queen Hera, who stood calm and composed, as if she had expected all of this. "You knew," Alex accused, stepping toward her. "You knew the ship was gone. You knew those things were out there." Zaira didn't blink. "Yes." Harris let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, great, and you just let us walk right into it." Zaira tilted her head, her silver hair shimmering under the dim alien light. "Would you have believed me if I had told you?" Alex clenched his jaw. He hated to admit it, but she was right. If she had warned them about shadow creatures that erased entire ships from existence, he would have assumed she was lying. Now he had no choice but to listen. The forgotten prison. Alex exhaled sharply, forcing his mind to focus. They were trapped. Their ship was gone, and their way off this planet had just vanished into thin air. They needed a plan. "We're not getting out of here unless we understand what we're dealing with," he said, his voice steady. He turned to Zaira. "Tell us everything. No more riddles. No more warnings. What is this place?" Zaira's golden eyes shimmered in the dim light. She walked toward the far wall and placed her hand against the strange glowing markings. At once, the entire chamber hummed to life. Blue light crawled across the walls, forming images, memories of the past. And then, Zaira spoke. "This planet," she said slowly, "is not just ruins. It is a prison." The air in the chamber grew colder. "My people," she continued, "built Zenthera 9 to hold the greatest threat our empire had ever created. A force so powerful that it could not be destroyed. A force that could only be contained." Alex felt a chill creep down his spine. A force. Zara turned toward him. The darkness you saw outside. The shadows that should not exist. Alex exchanged a quick look with Harris and Lion. You mean those things? Lion asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zara nodded. They are not creatures, not beings. They are fragments of the void itself. Alex narrowed his eyes. What does that mean? Zara sighed. Long ago, the Zenthari Empire sought to control the fabric of reality itself. They wanted to create an ultimate weapon, something that could erase enemies from existence without a trace. Her voice darkened. They succeeded. A deadly silence filled the chamber. But they did not understand what they had created. Zara continued. This force was not a weapon. It was a hunger. It did not obey. It did not think. It only knew how to consume. Harris took a step forward. You're saying your people accidentally made some kind of reality-devouring entity. Zara nodded, and they paid the price. She gestured toward the glowing symbols on the walls. The Empire tried to fight it. Planets were lost. Entire civilizations erased. There was no way to destroy it. So they locked it here, Alex muttered. Zara turned to him. Yes, but it was not enough. The real reason Zara was locked away. Lion glanced at the symbols, trying to make sense of them. If this thing is so dangerous, why did your people leave? Why not watch over it? Zara's expression hardened. Because they thought I was the greater threat. Silence. Harris frowned. Wait. What? Zara exhaled slowly. They created me, she said. I was the first of their genetic monarchs, a queen that could never be challenged, never be overthrown. But in doing so, they made me different. She lifted her hand, and a faint golden glow pulsed in her palm. My body, my very existence is connected to the void. That is why no one can touch me. That is why I am a weapon. Alex felt a knot form in his stomach. So instead of dealing with the problem, he said slowly, they locked you up and abandoned the planet. Zara's lips curled into a bitter smile. And now, after all these years, their mistake is waking up. A dangerous offer. The weight of the situation sank in. The shadows outside weren't just mindless creatures. They were the remnants of a reality-destroying force, and it was still hungry. Alex took a slow breath, forcing himself to think. They had to get out of here. We need to find a way off this planet, he said. There has to be something left. An old Zenthari ship, a distress beacon, anything. Zara's golden eyes glowed. There is a way, she said. Alex narrowed his eyes. What is it? She took a step closer. Me. The room fell silent. Harris shook his head. No way. You just said you're part of this. You're connected to those things outside. Zara's smirk returned. And that is exactly why I am the only one who can help you. Alex studied her carefully. What's your price? Zara met his gaze. Freedom. A long pause. You set me free, she said, and I will get you off this planet. Alex clenched his jaw. This was a risk. She was dangerous, unpredictable, possibly their only chance. But before he could answer, the lights flickered violently. The temperature dropped. And then, a deep, inhuman voice echoed through the chamber. She belongs to us. The shadows were no longer waiting. They were coming. The attack from the shadows. Deep, unnatural voice echoed through the chamber. She belongs to us. The air turned freezing cold, and the walls trembled as a dark, suffocating presence pressed down on the room. Captain Alex Carter instinctively raised his weapon. His team did the same, forming a defensive line. The strange whispers grew louder, a chorus of voices that made their skin crawl. Zara, however, stood perfectly still, unmoved, unafraid. Well, she said, her golden eyes narrowing. They'd finally stopped pretending. A wall of shadows. The chamber lights flickered violently, casting long, jagged shadows across the walls. Then, the shadows moved. They poured in through the cracks and doorways like living ink, slithering across the floor in unnatural shapes. Harris took a step back. "Captain, this isn't normal." "Yeah, no kidding," Alex muttered, tightening his grip on his rifle. The shadows rose, taking the form of tall, distorted figures with hollow, featureless faces. Their bodies shifted constantly, flickering between solid and transparent, as if they were stuck between two realities. Then, they attacked. "The battle begins. Open fire," Alex roared. The chamber exploded with gunfire. Energy blasts tore through the dark figures, sending ripples through their bodies. But it wasn't enough. The shadows absorbed the attacks, barely slowing down. Then they struck back. One of the creatures lunged at Harris, wrapping around his arm like liquid smoke. He screamed as his skin turned gray, his body growing weaker by the second. "Get it off him," Lion shouted. Alex spun and fired. The creature shrieked, releasing Harris and vanishing into thin air. But more were coming. Too many. "We need to get out of here," Lion yelled. "No," Kyra said calmly. "We need to end this." The Queen's true power. Alex turned to her. "You got a plan? Because right now we're running out of time." Zyra smiled, not with amusement, but with something darker, something powerful. "This is what they fear," she said, raising her hands. And then, she unleashed her power. Golden light erupted from her body, flooding the chamber with raw energy. The shadows screamed, their forms twisting and breaking apart. The ones closest to her disintegrated instantly, torn apart by the force. The rest backed away. For the first time, they feared her. Alex shielded his eyes from the blinding glow. He could feel the heat, the sheer force of something unnatural and unstoppable. Zyra turned to him, her golden eyes burning like fire. "Now do you see?" she said. Alex hesitated. He wasn't sure what he was looking at. This wasn't just power. This was something ancient, something forbidden, something the Xanthari Empire had feared enough to lock away forever. "Keep moving," Zyra commanded. "There is no time to waste." The escape route. The shadows had retreated for now, but Alex knew they wouldn't stop. "We can't fight these things forever," Harris said, still breathing hard. "What's the next move?" Zyra gestured toward the far end of the chamber. A section of the wall had shifted, revealing a hidden corridor. "There," she said. "That passage leads to the old Xanthari control chamber. If we reach it, we may find a way off this planet." Alex hesitated. "Or," he said, "it's a trap." Zyra raised an eyebrow. "You have another option." Alex sighed. "Fair point. Move." The team rushed toward the corridor, weapons at the ready. But just as they reached the entrance, a deafening roar shook the entire structure. And then something massive began to rise. The true enemy reveals itself. The walls cracked as an enormous shape emerged from the darkness. It was unlike anything Alex had ever seen, a towering mass of pure shadow, shifting and twisting, its body filled with hundreds of glowing red eyes. It wasn't just a creature. It was the source of the darkness itself. Zyra's expression darkened. "The Warden," she whispered. Alex turned sharply. "The what?" Zyra's golden glow flickered, as if the sight of this entity had shaken even her confidence. "The entity created to guard this prison," she said. "It was the first to be consumed by the void. And now it exists only to serve it." The Warden's eyes locked onto them. It spoke, but the sound was not a voice. It was like 1,000 voices, speaking at once, a whisper that rattled in their skulls. "You will not leave." And then it attacked. Final stand. The Warden moved with unnatural speed, a massive shadowy hand slamming down toward them. Alex dove aside, rolling as the impact shattered the floor. sending chunks of debris flying. Harris and Lyon scrambled for cover, firing blindly, but their weapons did nothing. Zyra stood firm. She raised her hands, her golden energy flaring, creating a massive barrier of light just as the warden swung again. The impact shook the entire room, but her shield held. Barely. Alex saw the strain on her face. Even she couldn't hold this forever. "Alex," Zyra shouted, her voice strained. "There is no defeating it. We must reach the control chamber. Now." "But how do we get past that thing?" Harris shouted. Zyra turned her glowing eyes to Alex. "Trust me," she said. Then, before he could argue, she threw out her hands and blasted the ceiling apart. The desperate escape. The entire chamber rumbled as massive chunks of rock and metal collapsed, creating a momentary barrier between them and the warden. "Run," Zyra commanded. Alex didn't hesitate. He grabbed Lyon and Harris and sprinted into the corridor. Zyra right behind them. Behind them, the warden's roar of rage echoed through the ruins. The shadows swarmed, but they were too late. The team disappeared into the depths of the ruins, racing toward the only chance they had left. But Alex knew the truth. They weren't escaping. They were running straight into the heart of the prison, and whatever waited for them there might be even worse. The final choice. The corridor seemed endless. Each step echoed like a drumbeat of approaching doom. Captain Alex Carter, his pulse pounding, led his team through the ancient, winding tunnels of Zenthera 9's ruins. The walls hummed with residual energy, pulsing faintly as if they were alive. Behind them, the distant roar of the warden still rattled through the structure. They had delayed it, but not for long. The prison's guardian was hunting them, and they were running out of time. A forbidden place. "Keep moving," Zyra commanded, her golden glow lighting the path ahead. Alex studied her as they ran. She looked strong, but he could see it, the strain in her steps, the cost of using her power. "How much further?" he asked. "We are close," she replied, "but reaching the control chamber is not enough." Harris shot her a look. "What do you mean?" Zyra didn't answer. Instead, she suddenly halted. The others nearly crashed into her. "What the hell?" Harris started, but then he saw it. The door. It was unlike anything else in the ruins. A massive circular gateway, pulsing with alien runes, shifting between solid and transparent, as if it existed in two realities at once. Dr. Lyon's scanner beeped wildly. This is it. The heart of Zenthera 9, Zyra murmured. But Alex noticed something wrong. The door wasn't just glowing, it was changing. The surface rippled, twisting as if something on the other side was trying to break through. "Open it," Alex ordered. Zetera stepped forward, placing her hand against the surface. The entire chamber shook. Then, the door opened, the machine that controls reality. Beyond the doorway was a massive chamber, stretching high into the darkness. And in the center, a colossal machine. It was floating, suspended above the ground, powered by an energy so ancient it felt wrong, a force that twisted the very fabric of reality. Dark energy pulsed through it, feeding the prison. Alex had never seen anything like it. Harris took a step forward. "This thing controls the prison." Zyra nodded. "And everything trapped within it." Alex clenched his fists. "Then let's shut it down." Zyra turned to face him, her expression unreadable. "You misunderstand," she said. Alex narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean?" Zyra took a slow breath. "This machine does not just hold the void. It is the only thing keeping it contained." Silence. Harris frowned. "Wait. Are you saying, if you destroy this," Zyra continued, "you release the darkness, it will spread beyond this planet. Beyond this system, it will consume everything." Lyon's face paled. "Then, how do we get out?" Zyra looked at them. "There is only one way," she said softly. Alex felt a knot tighten in his chest. You. Syra nodded. Yes. The price of freedom. The machine reacted to her presence. The runes shifted, forming patterns that pulsed with recognition. She stepped forward, standing beneath the floating structure. The energy crackled, responding to her very existence. This prison, she said, was built to contain the void. She turned toward Alex. And I am its key. Silence. Alex took a step forward. Explain. Syra exhaled, her golden eyes flickering. The only way to stop the void forever is for me to take control of this machine. I must become the new Locke, the new warden. Alex's stomach dropped. You're saying you have to stay here? Syra nodded. Yes, if I bind myself to this structure, the void will never escape. But in doing so, she trailed off. Harris's eyes widened. You'll be trapped. Forever. Syra didn't deny it. Lion's voice was barely a whisper. That's why the Zenthari locked you away. They were afraid to use you. But you were always the only way to stop it. Syra's expression softened. Yes. The last decision. Alex's mind raced. There had to be another way. There has to be another way, he said out loud. There is not, Syra replied. We can find a way to get off this planet without sacrificing you, he insisted. Syra smiled slightly. Captain, I think you of all people understand. Sometimes there is no way out. Alex hated that she was right. Syra turned back toward the machine, her glowing hands reaching toward the control panel. She was ready to do it, ready to lock herself away. Then, the walls shook violently. A roar, louder than anything before, ripped through the chamber. And then, the warden arrived. The final battle. The colossal entity of shadows and glowing red eyes emerged from the darkness, its form so massive it barely fit in the chamber. It had followed them, and it would not allow Syra to take control. Alex raised his weapon. Harris, Leon, move. We hold it off. The warden lunged, its massive clawed limbs slamming down toward Syra. But at the last second, she raised a golden barrier, stopping the attack inches from her face. Go, she shouted. Alex hesitated, but he knew what had to be done. He turned to Leon and Harris. We have to help her. Buy her time. The team unleashed everything. Gunfire, explosions, blasts of golden energy from Syra. The entire chamber turned into a battlefield. The warden lashed out, knocking Harris back, sending debris flying. Lion screamed, trying to get to him, but the creature cut her off. Alex dodged a massive strike, barely avoiding the crushing blow. Syra gritted her teeth, focusing all her strength on the machine. I need more time, she gasped. The ultimate sacrifice. Alex turned to the machine, his mind racing. Then he saw something. A second control panel. And an idea hit him. He rushed forward, placing his hand on the panel. Syra's eyes widened. What are you doing? Alex gritted his teeth. You're not doing this alone. The machine reacted instantly. Energy surged through him. And suddenly, he could feel the void, the prison, the entire structure. The pain was excruciating. Alex. No. Syra screamed. But it was too late. The end, or the beginning. The machine activated fully. Golden energy erupted, consuming the warden, tearing apart the shadowy mass. The prison sealed itself once more. And then, everything went dark. The final choice. The air in the control chamber thickened, as if reality itself was resisting the decision about to be made. Captain Alex Carter could feel it, the immense, incomprehensible weight of the void, pressing against the fragile fabric of existence. The machine before him hummed with an ancient power, a prison older than human civilization itself. And Queen Syra, the last of the Zenthari, stood ready to sacrifice herself to contain it forever. Behind them, the warden, A towering colossus of shifting shadow and endless, glowing red eyes, descended into the chamber, its presence sending ripples through space itself. The ground shook, walls cracked, and the machine flickered as if reality itself were glitching. The void was breaking free. Zyra turned to Alex, her golden eyes soft but resolute. "There is no other way," she said. Alex clenched his fists. There had to be another way. But deep down, he already knew. There wasn't. The truth about the machine. Dr. Lyon, still clutching her damaged scanner, examined the massive structure before them. "This machine," she whispered, her voice barely above the hum of energy coursing through the air. Harris, still recovering from the warden's last attack, coughed. "What about it?" Lyon swallowed hard. "It's a bridge." Alex turned sharply. "A bridge?" Lyon nodded. "It doesn't just contain the void. It connects to it. It's not just a prison. It's a door." The realization hit Alex like a punch to the gut. Destroying the machine wouldn't just free them. It would rip open the void completely. Zyra stepped toward the machine, her silver hair flowing as golden energy crackled around her. "I was always meant to be the lock," she said. "I was created to be the key that seals the void permanently." Alex's pulse pounded in his ears. "If you take control of it," he said carefully, "what happens to you?" Zyra smiled. A sad, knowing smile. "I become one with it." Harris swore under his breath. "That's a fancy way of saying you'll be erased." Alex shook his head. "No, we find another way." "There isn't another way," Tyra said firmly. Her golden glow intensified. "I was created to be a weapon," she continued. "A living curse. But now, I have a choice." She stepped forward, toward the machine, toward her fate. Alex's mind raced. He had led his team into countless impossible situations, survived death traps, wars, betrayals. But this was different. This was the end of everything. And then, the warden moved. The last battle. The shadowed entity lunged, its massive, shifting form tearing through the chamber like a living storm. Alex and Harris dove aside as the void consumed the ground where they stood. Lyon screamed, barely managing to dodge the spiraling tendrils reaching for her. The warden was done waiting. It knew what Sarah intended to do, and it would not allow it. Zyra stood firm, her glowing aura flaring like a miniature sun. "Go," she shouted at Alex. "I can hold it back." Alex didn't hesitate. "Harris, Lyon, keep moving. Buy her time." The team unleashed everything. Harris's plasma rifle lit up the darkness, rapid fire bursts tearing through the lesser shadow creatures emerging from the void. Lyon threw a sonic charge, sending shockwaves through the chamber, momentarily disrupting the warden's form. Alex fired shot after shot, but the warden was relentless, its body absorbing the energy, shifting and regenerating instantly. Then, it struck. A massive tendril lashed out, slamming into Harris and sending him crashing into the far wall. Lyon gasped, running to help him. Harris. But Alex's focus was on Zyra. The energy field around her intensified, the golden glow pulsing like a dying star. She was already merging with the machine. Alex's breath caught. This was it. Alex's choice. He couldn't let it happen. Not like this. He rushed toward her, ignoring the battle raging around them. "Zyra," he shouted. She turned, surprised. "What are you doing?" she demanded. Alex grabbed her wrist. Her golden energy surged into him, searing his skin like fire. But he didn't let go. "I won't let you do this alone," he said, gritting his teeth against the pain. Her eyes widened in shock. "No, you'll die," she whispered. Alex smiled. "Then we both go together." And then, he placed his other hand on the machine. The sacrifice. The moment Alex touched the control panel, a violent surge of energy erupted through him. A maelstrom of golden and black light consumed the chamber. Alex felt everything. The void, the prison, the centuries of screams trapped within this place, the terror of the creatures that had once dared to reach beyond reality itself. And within that chaos, he felt Xyra. She had always been alone. A queen without a kingdom. A weapon without a purpose. Until now. Xyra stared at him, realization dawning in her golden eyes. You can withstand it. Alex gritted his teeth. Looks like it. The machine reacted instantly, sensing something new. A second presence. Another lock. Another key. Binding the void. The warden let out a terrible roar, sensing its defeat. The shadowy mass lunged toward them, desperate to stop what was happening. But it was too late. The machine flared with golden light, and for the first time in centuries, the void was sealed. The warden screamed, its body unraveling, dissolving into nothingness. The prison stabilized. And then, everything went silent. The aftermath. When Alex opened his eyes, he expected to see darkness. Instead, he saw Xyra, kneeling beside him. Her golden glow had faded, replaced by something new, the soft, human warmth. She looked different, less of a goddess, more alive. You survived, she whispered. Alex chuckled weakly. Guess I'm tougher than I look. The chamber around them had changed. The once unstable energy was now calm. The prison was no longer just a cage. It was a barrier. And Tyra and Alex, they were its guardians. Harris groaned in the distance. So, are we dead, or did we actually survive this nightmare? Lion laughed, half in relief, half in disbelief. I think we won. Alex turned to Xyra. So, what now? Xyra smiled. Now, Captain Carter, we protect the universe. And in the darkness of Zenthera 9, beneath the weight of a sealed abyss, the last queen of the Zenthari, and the human who refused to let her die stood together. Two souls, two warriors, and the only thing standing between the void and the rest of existence. The guardians of the void. For the first time in thousands of years, the prison of Zenthera 9 was stable. The howling void, the hunger that had consumed entire civilizations, was now locked away, sealed by the combined presence of a human and an alien queen. But at what cost? Captain Alex Carter slowly pushed himself up from the cold metal floor, his entire body aching. The overwhelming power of the machine, the weight of what he had just done, still pulsed through his veins. Across from him, Queen Xyra stood in silence. She looked different. The golden aura that had once radiated from her skin had faded. Her glowing eyes were dimmer, more human. The energy that made her a living weapon had somehow been altered, split between her and Alex. They had changed something, maybe even themselves. The new balance. Dr. Lyon and Harris finally caught their breath, watching cautiously from a few feet away. Okay. Harris exhaled, wiping sweat from his forehead. Someone want to explain what the hell just happened? Lyon adjusted her scanner, eyes flicking between Sarah and Alex. Her voice was barely a whisper. They merged with the machine. Harris blinked. I'm sorry, they what? Lyon shook her head, staring at the readings. The machine wasn't just containing the void, it was bonded to it. It needed a living presence, a consciousness, to keep it from unraveling. That's why the Zenthari locked Xyra here in the first place. She turned toward Alex. But when you interfered, when you touched the machine, you changed the equation. Now, it's not just her controlling the prison. She swallowed. It's both of you. A new connection. Alex clenched his fists, flexing his fingers. He could feel it, something different inside him. Like a presence, a whisper in the back of his mind. The void was still there, but it wasn't fighting him. It was listening. Sarah studied him carefully. You were never supposed to survive that. Alex smirked. Yeah, Well, I tend to break the rules. For the first time, a flicker of something unfamiliar crossed Xyra's face, not just curiosity. Respect. She turned to face the massive machine at the center of the chamber, its pulsing energy now calmer, more controlled. This place is no longer just a prison, she murmured. It is something else now. A balance. Alex crossed his arms. So, what does that make us? Xyra turned back to him, her golden eyes locking onto his. Guardians, she said. The universe will never know. Harris exhaled. All right, great. Love the whole mystical warrior thing, but let's be real here. How do we get off this damn rock? Leon frowned at her scanner. That's another problem. Harris groaned. Of course it is. Alex raised an eyebrow. What kind of problem? Lion hesitated. Whatever we did to the machine, it changed the fabric of this place. The prison is stable, but... She turned the scanner toward them. The planet isn't. Xyra frowned. Explain. Leon pointed at the readings. Xanthera isn't just holding the void. It's connected to it. When we stabilized the machine, we must have altered its gravitational field. Long story short. She looked at them gravely. This entire planet is collapsing in on itself. The race against time. The ground shook violently, a deep, rumbling tremor reverberating through the ruins. Dust and debris rained from above. The walls cracked, and the chamber's once glowing runes began to flicker. Damn it, Harris cursed. We just saved the galaxy, and now we're about to die. Alex scanned the room. There had to be a way out. There is one way, Xyra said suddenly. She pointed toward a hidden control panel on the far side of the chamber. Alex narrowed his eyes. What is that? Xyra's expression darkened. A failsafe. The Xantheri left one emergency protocol in case the prison was ever in danger. Lion's eyes widened. You mean? Yes. Xyra turned to Alex. There is a ship. The last Xantheri ship. The hidden panel whirred to life as Xyra placed her palm against it. A holographic map unfolded in the air, revealing a massive underground hangar, buried deep beneath the ruins. In the center of the map, a ship. Sleek. Alien. Unlike anything in human design. The last Xantheri warship. Xyra said. It was locked away when the prison was built, meant as an escape for the High Council should the void ever be breached. Alex grinned. Perfect. Let's go. But Sarah shook her head. There is a problem. Harris groaned. Of course there is. Xyra's expression was grim. The ship is part of the security system. It will only activate for a Xantheri commander. Lion bit her lip. Well, that's you, right? Xyra exhaled. I was their queen, yes. But after what we just did, after merging with the machine, I am no longer entirely Xantheri. She turned to Alex. But you are not entirely human anymore either. A heavy silence filled the chamber. Harris whistled. Okay. That's weird. Alex ignored him. What does that mean? Xyra's golden eyes met his. It means the ship will only fly if we do it together. The final flight. The chamber shuddered, the walls beginning to cave in. The countdown had begun. All right, Alex said. Then let's move. Xyra led them through a hidden passage, the ground crumbling behind them. The tunnel spiraled downward, heat rising as the planet's core destabilized. Finally, they reached it. The ship. It hovered above a massive launch bay, its sleek, dark metal reflecting the blue glow of the crumbling ruins. Xyra and Alex stepped forward together, their presence activating the controls. The ship hummed to life. Engines roared, the hangar doors splitting open, revealing the black void of space above. Alex turned to his team. Strap in. Harris grinned. Hell yes. The ship blasted upward, fire and debris exploding behind them. As Xanthera 9 collapsed in on itself, The last ship of the Zentheri Empire tore through the storm of destruction, breaking free into the endless expanse of the stars, the guardians of the void. As the dying planet shrank in the distance, Alex finally exhaled. Lion sat in awe. We actually made it. Harris grinned. I'm never going on another exploration mission again. Alex turned to Xyra. For the first time since he had met her, she looked free. So, he said, where to now? Xyra smirked. The galaxy is vast, Captain Carter, and we have work to do. As the stars stretched before them, Alex knew one thing for certain. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning.